So we have our goal. We talked about reverse engineering, but at the same time, we have to start somewhere. So our objective, guys, is going to be working our way towards that goal, and here's how we want you to take that approach. The foundation, the base of our athlete development pyramid is nutrition. Nutrition and recovery. You can't out-train a shitty diet. So if we think about it, the gut is the window to the immune system. We go into the weight room, we hit our practice, we got worse. But guess what? We're going to fuel that fire, our bodies will repair because based off the nutrition and the things, good things that we consumed. So we always start here in terms of education and application. From there we progress into a phase we call our limiting factors. I don't care what you can do, I care what you can't do, because that's what's going to cost you a game. So we identify what our athlete cannot do, whether it's a step, a lunge, moving through different planes of motion. And then we're going to build a program around that. So traditionally, pyramids are broken down into hierarchies, right? So these next three phases, one is not more important than the other, but they all play a role in athleticism. So body awareness. This is where we're going to practice all of these primals. We're going to identify what an athlete cannot do and then give them the opportunity to correct that through 3 planes of motion. So when I talked about these axes of rotation, they're moving through 3 different planes of motion. My hip hinge, that's going to be in the sagittal plane. So sport exists in an infinite combination of X, Y's, and Z's through all planes of motion. A lot of training will neglect the frontal plane. I'm moving side to side. And then finally we have the transverse plane, which is arguably one of the most important, whether we're talking baseball, lacrosse, even football. Right? My hips have to stay as I run in a straight line, but I have to turn over my shoulder and catch the ball. If I can't separate my hips from my shoulders, I will no longer be running in a straight line. So we talk about these axes of rotation. If X is the most bias of all the training, axes, so is the sagittal plane. So our training, our body awareness is going to challenge an athlete's ability to execute 7 primal movements, 4 upper, 3 lower, through all 3 planes of motion. So we perform a checklist, make sure that we have all 3 every single day, whether it's in our warm-up, whether it's in our strength, whether it's in our conditioning, all 3 planes of motion versus just the sagittal. Then we progress to this middle block. Barbell, this is the safest tool for us to overload our athletes. Not a lot of risk for injury there. So we're talking the deadlifts, we're talking the squats, front squats, bench press, safe movements for you to fail. Put on more on the bar than you can do and fail because your body will come back and adapt. Be ready for the next time you're faced with that stress. So a very keystone, we like to call it, of our programming is going to be our squat. It's going to be our bench press, our big primary lifts with the barbell. We're going to use it as a tool, but we're not going to overuse it, and it's not going to be a measure of our performance. It's just a measurement for progress. Then we pair that in this keystone with Olympic lifting. We are not training Olympic lifters. We're using Olympic lifts as a vessel, a tool to train athletes, unless their sport is Olympic lifting. So we don't necessarily are too worried about what an athlete can full clean, because if you find yourself in that ass to grass position on the field or the court, you did something wrong, you failed. So we focus all of our Olympic lifts on catching in a tall athletic position, above parallel, and ready to practice that eccentric catch, that eccentric load that you're going to have to prepare yourself for when it's another human being coming down and trying to take away your position. So Olympic lifting, definitely it's going to be an opportunity for athletes to dynamically display the strength that they've developed from the barbell. In the world of sport, speed is king, right? It's not just that you can squat 500 pounds. How quickly can you call upon that 500 pounds in an instant that it matters the most on the field? That's what we're talking about. Most people only think of speed as running straight ahead, right? The 100-meter dash. We're talking about it, change of direction, moving your body through all planes of motion. If you got a bar on your back, move it as fast as you freaking can. Weight will dictate speed, but you are always moving as fast as you can. I just want to have a mindset of train fast, be fast built into my program throughout. It's not just going through the motions. We're going to use speed as a stress. And finally, 6, this is the goal. This is specific physical preparedness. We're going to put you in a position to be prepared for whatever it is you're training for. And if we know that you step onto the field and you lost, the training didn't work, we failed as a coach.